money and they're not showing up to all these, you know what I mean? All the events, all the movies and everything. It's like the silent majority is happening with the money. So good for them.
And hear me now, hear me clearly. I'm not against anybody. You are who you are in a nation where the laws and the freedoms are to be that. But when you step over the edge and you get in the face of people's kids and you want to train their kids while they're at school and they're underage, you're no longer about personal freedom to be who you are. You're diving down into the lives of their kids. And guess what? You're pissing America off.
Yep. Yeah.
This one right here is going to be a relatively lengthy video, so make sure you guys stick around for the full bit. There's going to be a lot of clips in it, and of course, a lot of things are going to be mentioned. Now, Gallup brought up some numbers the other day, a poll that they did back in 2022, in which I guess it was a poll that they've been doing over the past year and a half or so, and of course, they decided to finally release that poll. Now, it was about 6 days ago that NBC reported on this. A lot of others have been bringing it up, and lo and behold, a certain little, let's just say a certain little lifestyle, got a 7% decrease in popularity, meaning that people are officially upset with the whole pride nonsense. Now, guys, I'm not here to poke fun of anyone or anything like that. I'm just here to tell you the reason why it is the way it is. And by the way, I probably would, in fact, get one of those yellow dollar signs, but then again, at the same time, though, who the hell knows? So we got to go through this. So why are people upset with the whole pride thing, and why in the world are people turning on gay marriage and stuff like that as a whole? Well, maybe I could give you guys a guess. Somebody on Twitter said that this was actually inaccurate, that they weren't really chanting that they were chanting something else about we won't go shopping or something like that. However, the problem is this right here. The video that they shared, and like I said, once again, I'm going to have to put something over it because I can only give you guys the audio here. While it is a little bit longer, well, you know what? Make sure you guys hear it for yourselves. You see, you can still hear somebody saying, we're coming for your children. Now, guys, I've talked about this before. There was a fatherly.com study that was released back in early 2022. It was shared through Yahoo News, which, by the way, is not a conservative outlet. It's a pretty left-leaning outlet that showed that conservative households typically tend to have 2 kids per one, as in like they have 2 kids on average to one liberal household. Now, we can go into all the reasons why, but I think if I did that there, it would probably take away from the point, so we're not going to do that. Fact of the matter is that's one of the main reasons why is they're trying to go after kids at a very, very young age. I obviously am not in favor of this. Many other people on this platform are not, in fact, in favor of it. But, of course, the whole pride thing has kind of sort of gotten out of control. Now, I'm going to be showing you guys something that I spoke about earlier today. And that right there being in a video that I released. I think it was the first video that I released on Monday about Disney's Elemental. I want you guys to see if you can pick up on a nice little correlation here.
Elemental, which features non-binary characters, flops in opening weekend. Let's look at the numbers. Disney, man, they're just going after flops after flops after flops right now. So Pixar's film Elemental, featuring the studio's first non-binary character, earned only $29.5 million on its opening weekend, marking the lowest opening ever for Pixar. The film's underperformance added to Disney's recent string of controversial decisions in the entertainment industry, including a subscriber loss on Disney Plus and the elimination of 75 positions at Pixar Studios. The inclusion of elements like critical race theory in shows such as Proud Family, Louder and Prouder, not Louder and Crowder, but Louder and Prouder, right, there we go. Sparked controversy. Pixar's previous film, Lightyear, also faced difficulties at the box office. Some attributed the poor reception to the depiction of same-sex relationships, suggesting that the audience may have been asked too much. Tom, is America kind of getting sick of this, or are we still at a point of tolerance? Hey, let's be tolerant with these movies and cartoons.
But
We're
we
not
are
against rappers, but we are against those thugs.
thugs.
But by the way, I want to show you this.
the
So
thuggish, rugged
Brandon showed me this
bone.
yesterday. This is a Gallup report that just came in. Fewer in U.S. say same-sex relations are morally acceptable. Interesting. This is the first time it's gone down. Tom, take a look at this. 64% down from 71% say same-sex relations are morally acceptable. Slightly more, 60%, than last year say death penalty is morally okay. Birth control, divorce, still most widely viewed as morally acceptable. So, and by the way, this is Gallup. This is not Fox. This is not CNN. This is purely Gallup. If you want to go a little lower to see the moral issues on where we're at, on how people are looking at this, 22 to 23. Birth control change is what? -4%. Divorce, -3%. Sex between unmarried men and women, -4%. Having a baby outside of marriage, unchanged. Gambling, -2%. Gay or lesbian relations, the biggest one, -7%. People are like, yeah, I don't know if that's morally acceptable. That's Gallup that's saying this. Medical research using stem cells, unchanged. Can you zoom in a little bit? Death penalty went up. People are supporting death penalty. That went up. Buying and wearing clothes made of animal fur. Oh, that's going to be upsetting certain people here. 0%. Doctor-assisted suicide.
Wow, I didn't know Hillary was a
-2.
doctor.
Abortion, unchanged. Medical, by the way, it's interesting that abortion is unchanged, 52-52. Medical testing on animals, -4. Sex between teenagers, -3. Pornography, -2. -4. By the way, it's as if America became more conservative in the last
Isn't
year.
that crazy? It's right.
What are the numbers that have the greatest increase or decrease? If you can scroll back up.
It's gay. It's gay or lesbian, -7.
It's the 5
There
and
is
7.
nothing
Is there
that's a
anything else
greater
about-
change than that. Nothing.
Of being
That-
morally acceptable.
Of not being morally acceptable. They're not open to it. They're less open to it than they were a year ago. This is America.
But they went up
right?
on the death penalty.
Yeah, they want to
This
kill
is
people.
What was the top of the article called right there?
American
That was obviously
opinion.
not me. That was Patrick Bet David. Of course, he was discussing Disney's recent decline in overall product, meaning that certain movies like, say, Buzz Lightyear, movies that they tried to put woke messaging in or gay couples or whatever, they didn't exactly go over too well. Elemental is a film from Pixar that features a non-binary character, and you got to ask yourself a question. When is this entire thing going to stop? Well, as I made a point in that particular video, which, by the way, will be in the description box, I said that most people who go to movies are, in fact, families. They go on weekends. They may go one night with the kids. Don't have school the next day, that type of thing there. Maybe if there's like a matinee, they may go together. Or groups of friends will go, and they typically tend to not want to be preached to or not have any form of woke messaging. You see, that film completely flopped, mostly due to the fact that people just don't want to go to the theater because they automatically assume that Disney is going to give them some woke political nonsense. People are getting tired, and I mean, they are in fact getting tired of this stuff. Now, speaking of the Patrick Bet David podcast, let's go ahead and roll this little segment.
Summary here, and this may get me shot at, but this is the summary I see. I look around America and I see people working with straight people, gay people, all kinds of folks at their offices and civic groups, PTA at their school, and they're trying to live in harmony. And there's people that have wanted marriage rights for a long time. John Roberts' decision, Supreme Court gave them that. And then along comes this whole trans thing, and which really is devolved into the Bud Light saga, the Target saga, school boards, things we're teaching kids. And there are gay couples that are right there protesting the same thing because they don't want their kids taught young. And I think all of that is coming together saying, damn it, we've had about enough of this. And there was no picket lines for Disney Elemental. You know what it was? Nobody took their kids to see it. Nobody reached into their pocket to pay, the $20 a ticket for the 3D, version of it with the glasses. And they said, I've had enough of it. And they said, I've had enough of Bud Light. And I said, I have enough of Disney's Elemental. I live in a diverse world. Stop trying to take an ultra minority of that and get crazy. And I really think that the tide is turning, and there's also core, lesbian and gay couples that are also tired of it, who also want to bring their kids up certain ways, and also don't like the portrayal. I think that's my point. I'll tell you, one of the best managers I ever had. In the corporate part of my life, one of the best managers I had, was gay, and it didn't matter. He was a great guy and a great leader, and he drove in my I'm talking about my corporate existence, and there was nothing there, and the fact that he was gay or not gay didn't matter. And I think America lives in that. It's like, if you're gay or not gay, it doesn't matter. But all the wokeism and all the stuff around trans and what's going on, Bud Light managers I had, was gay, and it didn't matter. He was a great guy and a great leader, and he drove in my I'm talking about my corporate existence, and there was nothing there, and the fact that he was gay or not gay didn't matter. And I think America lives in that. It's like, if you're gay or not gay, it doesn't matter. But all the wokeism and all the stuff around trans and what's going on, Bud Light and now Disney and others, I think more than just straight America is fed up with it.
But Tom, from what we're seeing though, because you went through the list with Bud Light and sports and this and all that, it's like they're not stopping though. You know what I mean? They're still being relentless. They're not seeing the. Do you think that, like, what is the ultimate goal of this push of just this little minority group? Like, what's the end game?
I think you have a lot of corporate PR people and CEOs that are wimps. And why can't you walk to the microphone that says, there's been gay people working at our company for 50 years. We've got equal medical programs. We've got, spousal arrangements. We have all these things that we've done for, regardless of who you are, just come take a job and do a good job. Mm-hmm. And where is that CEO, and where are those PR people saying, time out? We've recognized these things that work among us. Why do we have to take this other step? Why do we have to have tuck-friendly kids swimsuits for age 5? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
That's over the waterfall. That's where it is. And I think that there's got to be, and by the way, Texas Rangers have said baseball is for everybody, and we have everybody in our audience, and we feel no need to have a special celebration of anything that may or may not be on the fringe. Everybody's here watching Texas Rangers, and everybody's welcome to be here. Where's that voice in the rest of America? Because the rest of America is going to say, hey, that sounds like common sense. And I think common sense is going to make a comeback, and it's been drowned out this year by these fringes.
Yep. Now, the gentleman in the Yankee jersey basically made the point that a lot of people are making, or the thing that people have got on their minds. They don't want to pay the money to go see this type of stuff. They don't want to pay the money because in some cases, movie tickets can be $20 to $30 depending on what movie theater you go to. Of course, it also depends on what state you're in because of some places the cost of living is a little bit higher. I think the movie theater that's right down the road from me, I think it's like $12 a ticket. Some places like $20 to $30 a ticket. Maybe New York City, LA, the bigger cities, they may charge a little bit extra, especially depending on the theater. The one theater I went to in Texas was a monster in size, but I cannot remember how much the ticket price was. As a matter of fact, I want to say the person I was with may have actually treated us all to the actual movie itself. I'm not entirely sure, but it was for the movie Joker. It was also the same week that I also went to go see the Packers and the Cowboys. I'm not going to go too far into that, but the fact of the matter is that people don't want to be preached to when they want to watch a film. They also don't want people dancing in the streets in front of their kids. Now, speaking of that whole pride parade, there were just one particular guy. And, of course, there were people dancing and doing all kinds of crazy stuff in front of kids. And there were kids out there waving pride flags. But then again, there were also kids that, quite frankly, looked like they were, in fact, traumatized. They didn't understand what the hell they were looking at. And I've been saying for a while that if you continue to do this stuff to little children, the only thing you're going to do is completely traumatize them. The only thing you're going to do is completely mess them up mentally. You may desensitize them thinking it may be okay, that maybe it might not affect them at a later date. But trust me, when they get in their 20s and they're sitting on a couch talking to a therapist, you'll know then. One such incident I cannot show you here, or else YouTube will remove me from the platform because, quite frankly, I still haven't figured out how to blur images just yet, but I'll figure that out here soon, especially seeing how I've got some more technology right here. Of course, bought a brand new computer, all that stuff there. I'm turning this place to an office, all that good stuff, but still. One particular thing that happened was that you had people out there, one guy in a tidy-whitey shaking his stuff in front of little kids. This is not healthy behavior. It's quite frankly sick. Now, I have said before that I blame, like say in the case of the drag queen stuff, that I blame the parents more for carrying their kids there. This right here, I can actually put the blame on everybody. I could say that it's not just the parents who carried their kids this thing. Of course, there are probably people who got to walk down the street and they can't avoid the Pride Parade because it is New York City. And a lot of people walk around. People are trying to get to the subway. Some people are trying to get to a cab. Maybe the road's cut off. As you guys can see, obviously a parade is going on. And in this case here, though, I actually can put the blame on the people who are celebrating their sexuality, which, quite frankly, nobody really truly cares about. The reason why I put the blame on them is because they're outwardly expressing themselves in an extremely, let's just say, an extremely crude way. Basically, what you're getting is, and there was even this one thing of nudity down by a fountain where men were walking around with no clothes on, standing around little children, urinating beside them, stuff like that. This stuff right here is not healthy. It's pretty much Sodom and Gomorrah. Let's just go ahead and call it what it is. But then you got to get down to the real issue. You got to get to the actual core. You got to actually think about what the hell is going on. And by the way, going back to that guy at the Patrick Bet David podcast, the guy in the red shirt, I have worked with people who live that lifestyle. Never a problem, never an issue, never try to push anything on me. Okay, just going ahead and say it right now. Nobody try to push the lifestyle on me or anything. But I've also said before, I really truly don't care what you do behind closed doors as long as you're not trying to corrupt kids or something. Well, guess what? Now you people are actually out there corrupting kids. But Claymore, what's the difference between this right here and the drag thing? Most of the drag shows are being held in a bar, being held in a club. This right here, of course, excludes the ones that are being held in public venues and, of course, being held inside schools and stuff, which, by the way, I fault the school system for that, and the parents need to step up and actually step in there and put a stop to that mess. This case right here is a little bit different. And there, you've got parents actually carrying these kids to drag shows. The parents should be held accountable. Those institutions or those places are held for the purposes of privacy. People go to a bar, this, that, and the other. It's not supposed to be a public area where people can just go outside and drink and do what the hell ever. You usually drink inside. Hell, a lot of places even have ordinances saying that if you step outside with your alcohol, you will get a ticket. There's a reason why those places are the way they are. However, doing it out there on a street corner in a massive city like New York City with kids and whatnot going around just shows you exactly what these people are really and truly going for. Now, really quick, go back to the very beginning of the video when I said that they were out there saying, we're coming for your children. Well, even if you could argue that these people were not serious, and of course these right here were some of the shirts that were on display and some of the actual things that were being shown, I can't really say it out loud because of YouTube's censorship ordeal. However, I do remember the San Francisco choir, or San Francisco Gay Men's Choir doing
and subtly, and you think that we'll corrupt your kids if our agenda goes unchecked.
So yes, they're telling you point blank that they're coming for your children. So, I remember a while back, Glenn Beck, 2014, 2015, it may have even been 2016. He was talking about Obama, and he was talking about the people who are pushing certain types of agendas, and he said after a while the mask would come off. Now, me personally, I still listen to Glenn from time to time. I think Glenn is a voice that we need, and he oftentimes has a way to be correct. His timing is normally off by anywhere between 1 to 3 years. Here's the way I think about it. If Glenn Beck says we're going to have a market crash, which I think he said back in 2022, chances are we're probably going to have a market crash soon. It just won't happen when he says it. It'll probably happen within the next 1 to 2 years, or maybe even, I don't know, I wouldn't say 3 years, but somewhere right around then. That's normally where Glenn Beck is at. He'll make a prediction, he'll say something, and it normally comes true like a year or two later. His timing is normally off, but normally what he predicted, in fact, comes true. And he's been saying for a while that the mask would, in fact, come off. And I've been saying that the mask have been off really since I would say since Obama's first term. You see, every time Barack Obama would get on stage and do a press conference, it seemed to me like he was whining about something. He was always blaming Bush for something. He was always doing that. Yada, 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 just freaking whining. The mask come off, and you saw that the left, for the most part, was extremely effeminate. And due to their effeminate nature, now anything and everything that they've been planning for a very long time has officially come out. And now you are seeing this on full display. Then we get to the case of Tim Pool and Emma Vigeland. Now, I included them in the thumbnail for a reason. You see, Emma and Tim, they had a pretty... They had a powwow on Friday afternoon, a Culture War podcast. Sean Fitzgerald was in attendance. He's even done a video on that released earlier. I may try to link it in the comment section. I don't know. Sean personally or anything, but he's definitely very good on commentary, very good on the issues. And oftentimes I will share his videos, okay? Just figure I'd go ahead and throw that out there. By the way, when it comes to crime, I'm nowhere near as good as he is. Matter of fact, I can already hear somebody say you're nowhere near as talented as that guy is, and you don't need to have a valid argument. No, I'm not trying to be him, I'm trying to be me. The thing is this right here, though. I've been thinking for a long time that these people were gone. And we're going to have this discussion here in a second. But you want to know why it is that people have actually lost faith in this whole pride thing. Why it is they're tired of? Why is they're sick and tired of it being on the corner of everywhere? Drinks. Target. Come on, Ford even ran a whole pride thing with their own truck. What else is it? Starbucks, of course, showing that they're not as woke as they claim to be. And now all of a sudden, their employees are on strike. Their union is. Bud Light, all these beer companies throwing it in our faces. You got to think that this particular month has not been good for the Pride crowd, and it really and truly has not. When you look at the overall revenue losses that these companies have had ever since about maybe late April, since the whole Dylan Mulvaney thing, and then you get someone like Emma Vigeland. Make sure you guys pay very close attention to the next 2 minutes.
To be restricted from the state from giving health care to their children.
If I open this book
Yeah.
on YouTube, the stream will get taken down.
Okay.
Did you ever read this book?
No.
This book is in middle schools in Florida. Ron DeSantis had it removed. That's one simple policy he did. That's very good. You've never seen this book?
I've heard about it.
Have you ever looked inside of it?
No, but I mean, I don't believe in censorship.
If I show you a
don't
picture of a
believe in book
blowjob, would
burnings.
you be offended?
I mean,
Can I show you a picture of a blowjob on camera?
I wouldn't be offended. I mean, I think
Disavow.
that, honestly, do you know, Tim, that the more children learn about sexual education in the way that's productive and done in schools, the less likely they are to be sexually abused because they know what is good and what is bad.
I can't show this image on YouTube.
Do you hear me though about that?
So I think
the more children
the issue
learn
is
about sexual education, the less likely they are to be victims of pedophilia and rape.
I think that the issue is you're confusing sexual education with kink. Right? So I'm looking at this right now. I can't even hold it up because I can't point it at the camera. And I don't understand why school children should be taught how to perform blowjobs for an autoandrophile.
I don't believe they're being taught that.
Why was this book
banned?
Why was this
I
book in
don't. I
grade
don't
schools?
really know. Again,
Amazon
because
said-
this is
right,
another
so-
case-by-case example.
No. You
where
asked me
I am
about
not
what
in
Ron
favor
DeSantis
of censorship.
did. You asked
I
me
am-
what Ron DeSantis did that I liked.
that he
Here's
banned genderqueer.
that he's removing pornographic and kink books from middle schools is a very, very good one. And I would
Well, for me, my politics are a little broader than that, Tim. I got to say.
So listen, if your argument to me is that I or anyone else should support your politics because you want to show blowjobs to children, you're going to lose.
Well, I don't think that is a policy done by teachers in this country. I think that this
book
is
was in schools in Florida,
There
which
are
is
a
why.
ton of books that are in a ton of schools. I don't believe in censorship. That's not my bag, buddy.
So you think children should have Playboy?
I don't really think so. No,
What about
because that's
Hustler?
pornography. I mean,
so you think a
Tim, you're in
blowjob-
favor of censorship.
Yes,
You are.
absolutely.
Oh, that's good to know.
If you watched the show, you'd know this.
Oh, you're okay. You're
We
pro
talk
censorship.
about how we're
I
for-
am not. I
Right.
want children to be able to have all the information that they need in order to
Including
make
pornography.
No, that's not pornography.
We back up record everything, and
That book, Genderqueer, that book, yeah. That book was in the school system in Florida. It was in the school system in Virginia. I mean, Amazon even says 18 plus, but yet somehow or another it was in elementary schools. It was also in the elementary schools here in my home state of North Carolina. Mark Robinson got on that. He was the lieutenant governor. Couldn't really do anything, but eventually the book was removed in most places. It's funny how Republicans finally figured out that in order to win the actual culture war and take back the country, you got to do it from the bottom up, meaning you got to start at school boards, you got to start at local elections, you got to start at state legislation, and of course state government. If you can do that there, you nullify a good portion of what the federal government tries to push. However, the reason why I brought Emma Vigeland, I brought that entire thing up, especially when she mentioned the whole thing about, well, if kids are taught this properly at a young age, it would actually lower the cases. Well, I'm not really going to go too far into that except by saying that I don't know what she means. Maybe what she means is kids just won't be reporting the abuse, which I think is 10 times worse because obviously when abuse occurs, it needs to be reported on. Maybe I got that one wrong. I freaking do not know. Either way, though, Emma Vigeland the mask has been off, and obviously the woman is pretty freaking sick. I've had people tell me flat out that, oh, she's actually very, very bright. Maybe you should listen to her. And you know what? I'm sorry, but people like that right there don't deserve to have a voice. Kids should not be exposed to this stuff, and people know that kids should not be exposed to this stuff. And you wonder why it is that this whole topic, this whole lifestyle is starting to lose acceptance in American society. I think it was the case of the cake in Colorado where a gay couple wanted a baker to make a certain type of a pride cake for their wedding. It's stuff like that there. You see, there's not any rights out there right now that you don't already have. So anytime somebody comes up and say, well, we want rights and we want we want equality. We want equal outcome, equity. We want this whole cultural Marxism crap. We want to have the ability to have free abortions or whatever. Dude, you've already got just as many rights, if not even more rights. Actually, you have more rights than I have, and I'm on the internet talking. And I mean, like I said, there's really not a whole lot you can do. Like if I say something negative about you, YouTube puts the yellow dollar sign on, meaning that they actually demonetize the video, and I don't get paid for it. That's how powerful this group is. If you say something negative about it, this right here is what they can actually do. So if anything, you've got basically carte blanche to do whatever the hell you want. But pay very, very close attention to the rest of this conversation.
YouTube
striking me down. You're the one arguing for.
You're the one arguing for censorship.
Yes.
I mean, I don't really mind that stuff. I mean, are you in favor of children seeing violence on television?
No.
That scares me a little bit more.
It depends. It's not so simple to say violence, right? But yes, censorship is a good thing, but when done bad is a bad thing.
Yeah.
For instance, Ian Crossland, who is a co-host on Timcast IRL, used to be a moderator for Minds.com, and he had to filter out graphic depictions of murder and rape and child abuse. Censorship is absolutely vital in that regard. So if we're talking about a book like, in particular, there was one called, there was a teacher who provided a book to her middle schoolers called This Book is Gay. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
I have heard. That's actually a very good book.
And it provides instruction on she provided instruction to children on how to use adult gay anonymous sex apps. Yeah, I don't think that's appropriate. Now, look, by all means, you can be in favor of them.
Maybe she had a child. Maybe she had a child in her classroom
who wanted to go on Grindr and have sex with adults? Is that your argument?
No, I mean, I'm not saying that. First of all, I don't know. Again, this is
why would a 10-year-old need Grindr?
This is the thing that you do, though, Tim.
Oh, that
You're
I do.
picking specific examples that
you
are
asked
inflammatory.
You asked me for one.
Okay, then go ahead. I did.
We have the book.
I
said don't show children blowjobs.
Look,
you said you appreciate it.
I'm not in favor of censorship. I'm not in favor of censorship.
As an objective observer that's sitting here, you asked for a specific example, he gave it to you, and then you try to say he's broadly in favor of censorship.
Yeah.
It's possibly to make a hypocrisy point later on when he complains about social media censorship or something like that.
No,
but it's like he's talking about this specific issue. And I remember I was working on an education series about this kind of thing years before it was popular. Yes, I was ahead of my time. And yeah, these kind of things were popping up all over schools. And I am happy that DeSantis is like doing something.
We had Asra Nomani on the show. She brought in, I think, like 70 books of all of the weird racist indoctrination and sex stuff that they're bringing in schools.
Yeah.
And I said, look, man, it's really simple for me. If someone comes to me and says that they think this book, which Amazon says is 18 up only, should be given to children, I'll say, I will vote against you.
So should the Bible be banned from schools because it depicts sexual acts?
From schools.
I don't have to tell you how far gone these people are. I mean, as I said before, the mask has been off for a while. It's funny that these people did not suddenly show up until right around Obama's second term. You see, maybe that is what Glenn Beck was kind of alluding to when he talked about the fact that, yeah, these people, the masks are going to come off. They're going to start showing you who the hell they really and truly are. And then all of a sudden, Emma Vigeland, someone who used to work for TYT, of course, very, very progressive, ultra progressive, super crazy, super woke, super lying. I mean, well, not as woke as, well, maybe Anna Kasparian is not as woke because she's starting to wake up to see the reality around her is not exactly what has been preached to her. But now you can see that these people, for the most part, just cannot be reached. Now, I'm not saying that you can't reach your next door neighbor. I'm not saying that you can't reach your friend who's a little bit on the fence about something. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying, on the other hand, is that people, personalities like her, personalities like Sam Seder, personalities like Jink, those people there, you can't reach. There's not even a point, if you ask me, in even debating them, at least from the right. If anything, someone like Tim is actually the best person to debate them because Tim himself is a lefty. The idea, of course, is him being more of a classical liberal or someone who's like a libertarian, whereas someone who's an actual conservative like myself probably does no good against these people because, quite frankly, we can't bring them back over, and we can't inject any form of common sense into them at all. Go back to that debate that Tim had with the serfs, the whole abortion thing. I mean, it was absolutely ridiculous to see exactly how far Lance was gone, or exactly how much his brain had completely devolved. Even when it came to the transist issue, which, by the way, I still have to actually say a certain way due to YouTube's community guideline standards, I'm pretty sure you guys are getting the point. There's not really a whole lot that we can say here on the internet or actually say in objection to these people, because they, quite frankly, have more rights than all of us. You get this little funny scenario here.
Employment because I need to be checked. You know, I mean, they got to use a speculum. They've got to take a sample, that type of thing, check for tears, blah, 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 right? I mean, makes sense. And so what they had said to me is like, well, we don't do that here. And I'm like, but you're a gynecologist office. Why wouldn't you? Well, we don't treat trans patients. So you're discriminating against me is what you're telling me. You know? My female doctor in Toronto would have taken you in a heartbeat. Damn. Yeah, it's bullshit. I am pretty pissed. You know, it's so hard to find a gynecologist that can even work with me, you know, and I don't understand it. So I don't know. I don't know. You know,
they are officially now at the OBGYN. They are officially now at the gynecologist, expecting to get the same treatment that women get. Bruh, you don't have a uterus, you don't have a cervix, you don't have fallopian tubes. I mean, you don't have a vajayjay. I mean, seriously. I mean, I don't think I need to play the Megyn Kelly rant, but I'll leave it in the description box. It's getting completely out of control. I mean, like I said before, it's completely taken over the most common, basic of places of women to go. It started with gay marriage, and quite frankly, people, they said flat out, well, this right here won't be leading to anything else, and a lot of us kind of feared that it would. Next thing you know, they're trying to use any bathroom they want. Next thing you know, they're invading women's sports. Next thing you know, they're screaming about rights that, quite frankly, they already have. Next thing you know, they're screaming for people like myself to be censored. By the way, when I talk about censorship, I've told you guys before that I'm not in favor of any form of censorship, but I'm pretty sure that most people kind of understand where I come from, especially when I call this nonsense out. When I talk about not being in favor of any form of censorship, I'm talking about online media, that type of stuff there, information. However, obviously, censoring a child from seeing crap like what you guys have been witnessing with the whole pride thing, obviously, I want kids to stay away from that. Obviously, I want kids to stay away from the LGBTQ stuff. That stuff right there should, in fact, be censored, and if anything, possibly even regulated and gotten rid of outright if possible, if you guys are kind of picking up on my drift. I go back to Glenn Beck, and I go back to Glenn Beck one more time because I did a video on this right here. I did a video on the fact that it seems to us that maybe they're trying to incite something. Need I remind you?
The Reformation, King Henry VIII, all of that. People have already fought this battle over and over and over again. We're fighting it. Everything that was fought over there, we just take for granted now. Oh, yeah, that's always been that way. No, never has been. Never has been. They have to create the image and the atmosphere of national Christianity, Christian nationalists. They must, the image and the atmosphere. Let me explain that in 60 seconds. The one thing that you really need to understand, I think I tweeted out last week, I was at the London School of Economics. And some people go, oh, that's where Hyatt was, did his work. No, it's where George Soros does all of his work. And in the courtyard, the main courtyard, they have this globe. It's gigantic, okay? And it's upside down. The North Pole is the South Pole. South Pole is the North Pole. United States is on the bottom. All of those countries that have had social injustice and inequity happen to them are on the top of the world. They are literally turning the world upside down, okay? You have to understand that this is nothing is coincidental. Nothing is coincidental. I don't understand how people can think that these are conspiracy theories when they are so well out into the open and have been done over and over and over again. I understand how people can think that these are conspiracy theories when they are so well out into the open and have been done over and over and over again. I mean, look at history. It's the same story over again. But each time, for some reason, like if you read the Bible, you're like, these people are dumb as a box of rocks. 20 pages ago. Do you not remember? No, apparently not. Apparently not.
Oh, yes, Glenn Beck was correct. The mask, in fact, did come off. Glenn Beck was correct. They are trying to incite something. I do believe that these people are, in fact, gone. The vast majority of them are. And as you guys can see, obviously, the acceptance of this stuff has obviously gone down. And I told you that at some point in time that it would, in fact, go down. However, I am curious, though. I wonder what the 7% were. I wonder who the 7% were. I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to call them out or anything like that because I agree with them. I told you at some point in time that this was going to happen. People, after a while, were just going to say, screw this. We can't take it anymore. Get the hell out of our way. Get the hell away from our kids. Get the hell away from me. I mean, after a while, it was going to get completely out of control. Yeah, they call guys like myself far right. Far right. No. I tend to think of it as being right so far. As in, I've been right so far, as in the vast majority of us have been completely right about this issue so far. And we're probably going to continue to be right about this issue and right about what eventually happens. Guys, John Claymore here. If you guys like this content, please hit the like button. If you think I've earned your subscription, please hit the subscribe button. Hit the notifications bell. Leave a comment in the comment section. The video essays and stuff, I'm going to go ahead and start making those here soon. Probably bit by bit. You guys know me. I'm a little bit slow with stuff. It takes me a while to kind of do things. Also, other things too, there's not going to be a video made specifically tomorrow for this particular channel, as in like coming out tomorrow outside of this one here, and a second video that I made earlier in the day, which by the way kind of touches back up on that person, the OBGYN, the gynecologist. Reason why Tuesday, as you guys, I've already told you guys before, Tuesday's the day in which they kind of do all the yard work and everything, and they kind of do it from like 10 o'clock in the morning to about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. The entire area itself, it's pretty freaking loud. So there's not going to be anything released as flashy as in like trending right off the bat. You know, if you guys release the video that's like trending at the time, I'm not going to be releasing anything like that. Of course, I would just be releasing it on Wednesday. With that right there being said, guys, I'm going to go ahead and halt this video now, and I'll see you guys later.